There's a particular kind of ache that comes from wanting approval from someone who never truly gives it. You check your phone more often when it's them. You replay their reactions in your head. You feel a small rush when they finally offer a compliment, and a disproportionate crash when they don't. Logic tells you their opinion shouldn't matter this much, but emotionally it does. Seeking validation is not weakness, it's human. From infancy, our brains are wired to look for cues of acceptance and belonging. A caregiver's smile regulates a baby's nervous system. A teacher's praise builds confidence. Social approval signals safety. But somewhere along the way, that healthy need for connection can attach itself to the wrong targets. People who are emotionally unavailable, inconsistent, critical, or indifferent. And that's where the pattern becomes painful. Psychologically, validation seeking from the wrong people often traces back to early relational experiences. If love or approval was unpredictable in childhood, sometimes warm, sometimes withdrawn, your nervous system may have learned that affection must be chased. You may have grown up with a parent who was distant, overly critical, or difficult to please. As a child, you couldn't leave that dynamic, so you adapted. You tried harder. You performed better. You became more attentive, more accomplished, more agreeable. That effort wasn't foolish. It was survival. But here's what happens internally. When approval is inconsistent, the brain becomes hypersensitive to it. Intermittent reinforcement, the psychological principle where rewards are given unpredictably, is incredibly powerful. It's the same mechanism that makes gambling addictive. When validation comes rarely and randomly, you crave it more intensely. You work harder for it. You feel more relief when it finally arrives. So in adulthood, you may unconsciously gravitate toward people who feel familiar in that way. The emotionally distant partner, the aloof friend, the boss who rarely compliments but frequently critiques. You tell yourself you just want to win them over, but underneath that desire is often a much older longing. If I can get this person to approve of me, maybe it proves I'm finally enough. The tragedy is that you end up outsourcing your self-worth to someone who is least capable of nurturing it. In everyday life, this pattern can look subtle. You may downplay your achievements until a specific person acknowledges them. You might tailor your personality to match what you think they prefer. You might tolerate dismissive behavior hoping that one day they'll see your value. When they withdraw, your anxiety spikes. When they offer crumbs of validation, you feel temporarily secure. But the security doesn't last. That's because external validation, especially from emotionally inconsistent people, is unstable by nature. It fluctuates. It depends on their mood, their capacity, their biases. And when your internal sense of worth depends on something so unstable, your emotional state becomes fragile. You might notice patterns of overachievement linked to this dynamic. You push yourself harder not purely out of passion, but out of a need to be seen by someone specific. Or you may feel stuck in cycles of self-doubt because the one person whose approval you crave remains unimpressed. No matter how much you grow, you feel like you're still trying to earn a gold star. Why does the mind fixate on the people who validate us the least? Because psychologically, unresolved emotional wounds seek resolution. If you grew up feeling unseen, your adult psyche may try to rewrite that story. You subconsciously choose someone similar to the original source of hurt and attempt to change the ending. This time you hope they'll choose you. This time they'll recognize you. This time you'll finally feel secure. But here's the hard truth. Chasing validation from the wrong person often recreates the original wound rather than healing it. It keeps you in a loop of striving and disappointment. It reinforces the belief that you must work for love. And it distracts you from people who are already capable of appreciating you. There's also an ego component that can be difficult to admit. When someone is hard to impress, their approval feels more valuable. If everyone likes you but one person doesn't, your mind fixates on the exception. We are wired to focus on what feels incomplete. That one person becomes symbolic. Their validation becomes a prize. But you are not a contestant, and relationships are not competitions. Emotionally seeking validation from the wrong people can erode self-trust. You start questioning your instincts. You overlook red flags because you're invested in the outcome. You tolerate subtle disrespect because you're focused on the potential reward. Over time, your internal compass weakens. You may notice how your mood shifts based on their reactions. A neutral comment feels like rejection, a small acknowledgement feels euphoric. This emotional volatility isn't random. It reflects how much power you've given their perception. But here's something crucial. The intensity of your longing often reveals the depth of your unmet need. The need to feel seen, the need to feel chosen, the need to feel valued without conditions. These are legitimate needs. The mistake isn't having them. The mistake is directing them towards someone emotionally incapable of fulfilling them. Healing begins when you gently ask yourself, why does this person's opinion matter so much? What story am I trying to complete through them? Often, the answer leads back to childhood dynamics. Perhaps you're still trying to impress a parent through a partner. Still trying to earn praise you never received. Still hoping someone emotionally unavailable will suddenly become emotionally present. It's not childish, it's human. But it's also painful. The shift happens when you realize that validation from the wrong person will never feel stable, no matter how much you get. Even if they finally praise you, the relief will be temporary, because the deeper wound, the belief that your worth depends on external approval, remains untouched. Building internal validation doesn't mean you stop caring about others' opinions entirely. It means you stop making them the foundation of your identity. This requires practice. Start noticing when you adjust yourself to gain someone's approval. Pause and ask, is this aligned with who I am, or am I performing? Notice the emotional spikes tied to their feedback. Instead of chasing the next compliment, try offering yourself acknowledgement first. It may feel artificial at first. Many people who seek external validation struggle with self-recognition. They minimize their strengths. They deflect praise. They assume their achievements are ordinary. But internal validation is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Surrounding yourself with emotionally available people also changes the equation. When you experience consistent affirmation, your nervous system learns that connection doesn't have to be earned through struggle. It can be steady, mutual, safe. You may find that when you stop chasing the approval of the wrong people, your anxiety decreases. Your relationships feel lighter. You no longer interpret every silence as rejection. You begin choosing environments where you are already respected, rather than trying to convert environments where you are not. And here's something liberating. Not everyone needs to validate you. Some people will never see you clearly because of their own limitations. Their inability to appreciate you is not proof of your inadequacy. It's simply a mismatch. When you internalize that truth, something shifts. You stop trying to prove yourself to close doors. You redirect your energy toward doors that open naturally. This doesn't mean you won't occasionally slip back into old patterns. You might still feel drawn to emotionally distant people. You might still crave approval from someone who withholds it. That impulse is a memory, not a mandate. Each time you choose not to chase it, you rewrite the pattern. You are allowed to want affirmation. You are allowed to want to feel admired, respected, appreciated. But you deserve those things from people who give them freely, not as rewards for performance, not as leverage, not as rare currency. You deserve validation that feels stable, not scarce. And perhaps the most important shift of all is recognizing that your worth existed long before anyone confirmed it. It existed before praise, before recognition, before applause. The journey isn't about becoming indifferent to others' opinions. It's about no longer being emotionally controlled by them. As you move forward, try this gentle experiment. Notice who consistently leaves you feeling small, uncertain, or striving. Then notice who leaves you feeling seen, steady, and relaxed. Your nervous system will tell you the difference. Choose environments that reflect your value rather than question it. And when you feel the old urge to chase approval from someone who withholds it, pause, take a breath. Remind yourself, I am not here to earn my worth. I am here to express it. That shift, from earning to expressing, is where real freedom begins.